Have you ever looked at an old photo or remembered something you said years ago and instantly wanted to disappear? Maybe it was an awkward conversation, a strange haircut, a post you wish you'd never uploaded, or simply the person you used to be. Noir felt that too. She would scroll through old memories, pause, cover her face, and think, why was I like that? For a long time, she believed those memories proved she'd been embarrassing. But psychology tells a very different story. That uncomfortable feeling might actually be one of the healthiest signs that your mind is growing. So, why do we cringe at our old selves? And why does your brain keep replaying those moments, even years later? Let's find out. Imagine meeting someone who has never once felt embarrassed about their past. They believe every decision they've ever made was perfect. Every opinion they had was correct. Every mistake was justified. At first, that sounds confident, but psychology suggests something else. Growth requires comparison. Your brain constantly compares who you are today with who you used to be. If nothing about your past feels different, it might mean nothing about you has changed. That uncomfortable feeling is often evidence that your standards have evolved. The person you're judging isn't your current self. It's an older version who simply knew less. Psychologists sometimes describe this through self-reflection. As your experiences grow, your perspective changes. Things that once felt normal now feel strange, not because they became worse, but because you became different. Think about a child learning to ride a bicycle. They wobble, they fall, they look clumsy. Years later, they laugh watching those old videos, not because the child failed, but because they've learned. Your emotional growth works exactly the same way, only now the bicycle is your personality. But here's something even stranger. Your brain remembers embarrassing memories far more vividly than ordinary ones. Why? Because emotion strengthens memory. The more emotionally intense an experience is, the more likely your brain stores it. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Your ancestors survived by remembering painful mistakes so they wouldn't repeat them. Your brain doesn't care whether the mistake happened yesterday or 10 years ago. It simply asks, could this happen again? That's why one awkward sentence from middle school can suddenly appear while you're trying to sleep, not because your brain wants to torture you, because it's trying, in its own strange way, to protect you. This is connected to something psychologists call the negativity bias. Our brains naturally give more attention to negative experiences than positive ones. You probably forgot the hundreds of conversations that went perfectly fine, but the one awkward moment, that one stayed, because your brain labeled it important. Unfortunately, important doesn't always mean dangerous. Sometimes, your mind treats harmless embarrassment like a survival threat. Now, here's where things become fascinating. Have you ever noticed you rarely cringe at things you still believe? You cringe because you've changed. The embarrassment isn't about the event. It's about the distance between who you were and who you are now. Psychologists call this psychological distance. As time passes, older versions of yourself start feeling almost like different people. That's why looking back can feel like watching someone else's life. Except, you remember being them. Noir realized this one afternoon while reading an old notebook. Every page made her smile and cringe at the same time. She almost threw it away. Then she stopped because something felt strange. Without that version of herself, the current version wouldn't exist. Every awkward conversation had taught confidence. Every wrong opinion had created wisdom. Every embarrassing mistake had quietly become experience. Suddenly, those memories didn't feel like enemies anymore. They felt like stepping stones. There's another psychological reason We judge our past so harshly. It's called the spotlight effect. When something embarrassing happens, we assume everyone remembers it. But here's the truth. Most people are far too busy worrying about their own embarrassing moments to remember yours. The conversation you've replayed for 5 years, the other person probably forgot it before dinner. Realizing this can feel incredibly freeing. And then there's perfectionism. Many people believe they're supposed to become someone who never makes mistakes again. But psychology doesn't define growth that way. Growth isn't becoming perfect. Growth is making better mistakes. You still stumble. You still say things you regret. You still learn. The only difference is the lessons become deeper. Think of your life like chapters in a book. Would you judge chapter 1 because the character wasn't ready for chapter 10? Of course not. The whole point is watching them change. Yet somehow, we expect ourselves to skip the entire story. Your past self didn't know what you know now. They made choices using the information they had. The same way, your future self will probably cringe at something you're doing today. And strangely, that's comforting because it means you're still growing. So the next time an embarrassing memory appears, don't immediately push it away. Instead, ask yourself one question. What did this version of me teach me? Because maybe that awkward memory isn't proof that you were foolish. Maybe it's proof that you've become wiser. Noir doesn't hide from her old self anymore. She smiles. She thanks that version for surviving things she didn't yet understand. Because every confident person was once uncertain. Every wise person was once inexperienced. And every person who has truly grown has a past that makes them cringe just a little. So, if your old self embarrasses you, don't be ashamed. Be grateful. It means you're moving forward. Stay curious. And if this helped you understand yourself a little better, follow TheNoirPsyche, where we uncover the hidden psychology behind everyday thoughts, emotions, and human behavior. Because sometimes, the person you're most afraid of judging is simply the person who helped you become who you are today.